Well, hello there. Today is Thursday, October 24th, 2019, and I am Angela Hooper-Menifield of Menifield Associates, and this is your HR moment. So, today's topic takes us back to the sports world and back to Texas. As you guys may recall, last week I spoke a little bit about whether or not an employer could terminate an employee based on a Facebook post. And we discussed how I live in New Jersey. So in New Jersey, that's not the case. But again, you should look into your state law. Well, today's HR moment is going back to the Major League Baseball. And we talked about this just a little bit the other day. So the Houston Astros has a general manager. And he made a statement post their win to make it to the World Series. So it was after the LCS, the American League LCS Conference Series, I guess. And it was perceived as being directed about domestic violence, okay? So the quick and dirty of it is he said something about like he was glad they betted on or banked on this individual, and I can actually tell you what that is. He said, he made a commercial. He made a statement that said, "Thank God we got Osuna. I'm so bleeping glad we got Osuna." Well, this particular player had been served a 75-game suspension for violating the Major League Baseball's domestic violence policy. What made this a troubling statement was, number one, no one had asked this man anything. The other thing is there were some other people in the locker room, some women exactly, one of which who was, it is stated in the Sports Illustrated article, was wearing a bracelet that was, speaking out against domestic violence, so in solitude of that cause. Everyone felt in that group, the group of the women and those around, that this was targeted and it was inflammatory and disrespectful. And so an article was written about it. Well, the organization took a very adamant stance and said, no, this is not what happened. They said that, this was a mischaracterization. The article was misleading. Long story short, they took a very adamant stand. And so that's what today's topic is about, is when someone makes an allegation against our organization or against someone on our team, how do we respond? And so I am here to tell you, don't say things that could be inflammatory or suggest that you're being insensitive, especially if you have not done an investigation. So again, the team immediately jumped out there, alleged that these comments were not properly interpreted. The article was misleading. They backed the GM. I mean, they were gung-ho on this cause. Now here we are, less than a week later. Guess what happened today? The GM got fired. Because the moment that denial came out, tons of other witness statements were gathered. Other people spoke up and said, no, this is exactly what happened and how it happened. Now just think about this for a minute. Had the Houston Astros taken the time and just said that, we have become aware of this situation and we're looking into it, or said something like, again, we're vehemently opposed to domestic violence, and while Osuna is a member of our team and he's had a past infraction, we do not suggest that we don't think that, this kind of behavior was intolerable or whatever. No, they took the stance that our team member, our leader, our supervisor within this organization did not do this, and he should not be chastised or talked about in this way. They were wrong because they didn't look into the matter. You see, as an organization, when your leadership, and that includes you if you're a supervisor, when we do things, our behaviors are a reflection of the organization that hires us. And so today, as you see, I'm actually wearing one of my company shirts. I've had this shirt now for about 4 or 5 years. But I'm always aware that when I wear this, because unless you know me, you don't know that I work for Menifield Associates, right? But when I wear this shirt and behave a particular way, it becomes clear. So in that locker room, he wasn't an individual talking about a subject. He was the general manager of the Houston Astros. As a result of his behavior and his comments, the entire organization now is backpedaling. I'm sure they've been having tons of meeting with public relations specialists and trying to figure out how do we end this social media or this public relations nightmare. Because guess what? We're playing in the World Series and nobody's really talking about that. Everyone is talking about what our general manager said. So my question is too, what type of training, do organizations such as these provide for their leadership? And clearly maybe more is required. Because we often see the hammer coming down or some strong opinions on players, but the people who are in leadership, ownership, general managers, because they have to understand you are a reflection of the organization you work for. So when you say things that present a negative image, people reflect it upon the organization. And it's not negotiable. And the second part of this, which is really a training for another day, when we make statements like that in a passive aggressive way, it can be viewed as hostile, intimidating, the chilling effect, and all those types of things that you learn about in sexual harassment and EEO type trainings, right? Because in essence, it is viewed that this comment was made because this woman was wearing a bracelet that was, against domestic violence. I think they said it was a purple bracelet. That's the color, right? So you business owners, you supervisors, you agency heads, you must, hear me, do a thorough inquiry. And don't tell me anything about, I've known him for years and he would never do anything like that. Have you not ever said something and wish you hadn't? So if the imperfect human in you can slip, why can't the imperfect human in someone else slip? And let me be very clear. This man slipped. He made a mistake. He said something he shouldn't have said. There's no evidence to suggest he has ever participated in any of this uncomely behavior, right? It doesn't matter now. He said it. People felt intimidated, they felt awkward, and then he lied or caused the organization to take the stronger stance and accuse the people who it was perpetrated upon to be viewed as almost liars. Now he's at home. But it's not just about him, right? The organization still has to continue to clean this up. And they're down 0-2 in the World Series, and there's this side of me, and of course, again, you've heard me say this before if you watch my videos and if you know me, been in my trainings or coached by me, I talk a lot about energy. And immediately when it started happening, I was like, ugh, this is not going to be good. There's a negative energy there. And now we see they lost the first 2 games of the World Series and they lost them at home, which does not happen often. So anyway, and they had the best record in Major League Baseball for this past year. So I say all that to say, even though the perpetrator is gone, the organization is still suffering the ramifications. So think, do not react, respond diplomatically, and always be clear that the things you say and or do when you want to defend someone who's been accused of a wrongdoing can also come back to haunt you. Now, a few days ago, you even heard me say, I never want to throw anyone on my team under the bus. I don't want to not have them feel like I don't trust them. And I also want to give them an opportunity to fix whatever wrong they may have committed. But in doing that, I talked about edifying them and saying, I trust that they'll make this right. I think that would have been the most I could have said. So, he wouldn't have felt like I was throwing him under the bus, but I'd have been like, hey, this has been brought to our attention. We are going to look into this. And if there definitely has been some inappropriate behavior, we'll see to it that, GMX makes it right. But I would not have been so adamant that the people who reported this were reporting misleading or inaccurate information, because now they look stupid, to put it politely. They really do. And now, again, this man who's been in this job has done clearly an excellent job as a general manager in selecting talent and drafts and everything else. He's unemployed. Not because of the success of the team, not because of the wins on the team, because again, they won more games than anyone in baseball this year, and they're playing in the World Series and they're the favorites. He lost his job because he made an inappropriate comment on an issue that is very, one could call like a hot topic, right? Because certain things we shouldn't comment on. So that's number one. And then when probably asked originally, he denied it. And the leadership, the organization, the ownership, the PR people, whoever, vice president of communications, they took a stand without getting all the facts. So that has been our HR moment for today. So I just want to implore you, think before you speak. When you speak, you represent your organization. And when you mess up, say we messed up. Don't deny it. Consider your team, your public relations people, your coach, if you're working with one of those, whomever that you're working with, consider them like your attorney. They can better help you if you admit that you're wrong and what you did than if you deny it and then get caught anyway. Because guess what? There's always eyes everywhere. So, when in doubt, without completing an investigation, remain neutral, remain positive, and make statements and or policies that indicate you just want to get to the bottom of this. But do not deny unless you're really sure. Thank you so much. My name is Angela Hooper-Menifield. This is your HR moment. Today is Thursday, October 24th, 2019. Menifield Associates appreciate serving you. And again, keep with the questions. I got a few in my inbox today, but I felt this was more pressing, so I'll get to those maybe tomorrow or next week. Have a great Thursday, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.